Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial. Go to audibletrial.com/Rushmore. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
We're going to shake it up this time, you guys. I think we're going to do a little bit different. I think this time you guys are going to talk about things that we agree upon, and you're going to see how you think differently about them, the top four of any given topic. Oh, wait, that's what we always do. All right, let's do that.
Screw it.
Let's just do that. Okay, so the topic that we've chosen this time
I had no idea where that was going from.
Do I? I was going to a mental fugue, where I was kind of going off into the dark place.
Making a note, insert cricket noises again.
Cricket noises. That's been such a handy needle drop.
This is when you go to a student improv class.
Yeah.
And you see one of the guys starts going off, and the rest of them are looking at him like, okay, where's this going? I don't have the training to pick up this.
Yeah. This guy ain't Andy Kaufman or Robin Williams, but he's his own special kind of guy. So yes, the topic that we're going to discuss right now is things you binged on, and who chose it? I did, because I love those moments in our life we become obsessed about certain things, and it's obviously something we need to get through our system, or it's something that is a fleeting fancy that we may regret very strongly, almost as much as we embraced it later on. The thing I remember binging on most severely in my life was video games. But I'm not talking about the video games that exist now. I'm talking about the Atari 2600 version of Asteroids.
Ooh.
And I was the beneficiary of a Atari, I don't think they called it the 2600 then, but Atari game set maybe a year or so after all the cool kids had one. And I finally had Asteroids, and that was my favorite coin-op game. I finally had Asteroids, and the doctor said there's no getting rid of it. The 2 days I stayed awake playing this game, 2 days straight, to the point where when I closed my eyes, I saw Asteroids. When I set the controller down, my hand twitched back and forth as if I was still controlling a game.
How old were you?
I was 9 years old.
I'm sure that didn't have any long-term effects on you at all.
It could be that I had also discovered masturbation about the same time, so I'm not sure which.
That's no joystick.
Okay, yeah, that's no joystick. But I do, to this day, have kind of an aversion to video games, because I just remember getting so immersed into this world that
What was the last game that you couldn't stop playing? This is going to date you.
Well,
but that's fine.
the last game I remember kind of feeling immersed in.
Hoop and stick.
Hoop and stick. Well, actually, the original Doom. So sorry. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
The old 8086 or IBM Doom.
Got that 386 processor going, really zipping along.
Sweet, man. The 16-bit Sound Blaster card in there, cranking along. But it's not about video games. It's about things you binged on. And since I thunk it, I'm going to say eeny, meeny, miny, Mike. Old Winfield, you start.
Okay. My first choice is podcasts.
Okay, good.
Hate to get all meta on us,
That's pretty
but
meta.
Is it our podcast?
Oh, God, no.
It could be for the listeners.
Yeah, see?
There's something kind of unique about having like a big cache of just things that you can go back and listen to. And once you I think the thing is, once you discover something that you're into, and then you realize, oh, there's 120 episodes of this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And it can roll from one to the next, and you're just like, the first one that I remember, there are like daily podcasts that you listen to that are kind of newsworthy and topical. So going back and listening to an old episode of, I don't know, like Bill Simmons or something, like there's no point, because he's only talking about things current.
Yeah.
Like there's no point in going back and listening to
Pretty much any sports one.
Yes.
You're kind of out of luck.
But I remember listening to The History of Rome.
Oh, yeah.
Which eventually led into...
Was it the Jim Rome show? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
See, it's a spot. There's a sports reference.
It's the B-52 song.
And then later listening to Revolutions, which is Mike Duncan's the one that followed that. But I remember going through like listening to 180 something, like almost in a row, and it almost got to the point where it's just like, I don't know where it started or began because it was all like one continuous narrative. And one episode dropped, and like the sound of the intro and outro music, and you're just like, you're in that kind of like, you're in that zone of it just in your head, and it's only audio, so you're kind of building all this stuff in your head. I don't know.
Were you sitting in your podcast chair smoking your podcast pipe? Or were you out doing stuff?
Probably work.
Yeah.
Like I'm just at work with like one headphone in so I can pretend like I'm actually paying attention to people that come up and ask me questions or whatever.
So it's not really quite an immersive experience because you still kind of have to. It's somewhere in that like weird world, and I assume people who listen to us probably do the same thing, where it's not quite immersive, but it's not quite background noise like music is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that weird sort of in between state
where it kind of almost gets in your dreams. Like you don't. I'm trying to think of something else that I've listened to. Actually, what's really funny.
Was it the whole Rome podcast or just the Caligula parts over and over again? Are you listening to it now?
So good. That's right.
He's got headphones.
but only one ear thing, and it's weird.
Earlier this year, the Ringer Network put out one called Binge Mode, which was about like Game of Thrones, and basically the two hosts went through every episode of Game of Thrones and released all of them at the same, like they would release a season's worth at the same time, like on a Friday, and they released 10 episodes of their binging on Game of Thrones or whatever. And I remember there was one point where it was like, I was listening to season 4 of it, episode 6, where I don't remember anything that they said. It was just, I'd seen the show, and now I'm listening to them talk about the show, and it's in my ear, and I'm at work, and like, I have no idea the jokes they made. I have no idea the observations they made. Yeah. And it, like kind of Richard said, it just kind of becomes like part of like my work, and that fused into like a moment of like, I have no idea what's going on. Yeah. I think that's what happens often with binging is you're just like immersed in it. And it's just like, oh, I don't know what I was doing. Yeah. I was just listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I've listened for 6 hours. What just happened?
Yeah.
So like what happens to you then when you catch up? Is it like a weird feeling when you can't binge on it anymore?
Totally. We talked about this on like the LA podcast one like last year, like just favorite podcasts that we've listened to, and Star Wars Minute is one of my favorites. And they go on a hiatus every year because they're done basically with a movie, and they wait 4 or 5 months. Waiting for like your favorite podcast to come back on is like weird. And you'll be like, well, do I just go back to Star Wars one and listen again and come back through?
Do I pick a different movie now that I have to do Indiana Jones Minute or the...
Do you listen to podcasts about for me, the minimum price of entry is I have to like the people. And so if they were assholes, I wouldn't want to listen to.
I've definitely done ones where I've started one and gotten into it, and then just kind of like, I'm so done with this. I like Stuff You Should Know.
Yeah,
I kind of like those guys, and I like to cherry pick like the topics that I like. Emily, my wife, on the other hand, she like started liking it and was like into it, and then went back to the beginning and listened all the way through. And like, I'm not interested in that many. I mean, on this podcast, we've, our kind of goal is to try and cover everything.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Which we're close to, by the way.
Yeah, we're really close. We're like
5-10 episodes.
80%. And then, but I know that she went back and she just, got into their personalities and listened to see how it changed over the years.
Oh, wow.
Like, they've been doing it since like 2008 or 7
That's
or something.
That's called an affair,
It's
Michael.
a thin line between binging and stalking.
Yeah. One thing that I find is good conversation makes you feel at home, makes you feel like you're in a dialogue with people, and that's the feeling that I have, almost like if I was over some buddies' houses or my family, the family around the holidays, everybody's chatting, talking and joking around the dinner table. I don't know, not tracking every part of the conversation, but I feel like I'm part of something familiar there. Stuff You Should Know peeves me because it feels like this is called stuff you're kind of reading off the internet during this podcast.
It is totally stuff some other researchers have done, and they've presented both hosts the exact same information, and they're just like going back and forth, and like You mean I guess
Stuff you read on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
it's very strange.
And
It's
they'll
very strange.
Presented. Well, I guess the Hyperloop is going to be made by blah, blah, blah. No, you don't guess it. It's on a piece of paper in front of you. You're reading it.
Yeah.
Richard, what's your first?
All right, so my first one is breadsticks from Pat and Oscars.
Shit. Oh, the winner, Richard Manfredi.
So, right out of college, my wife Sarah worked at a public affairs agency.
I thought you were going to say a restaurant called
Breadsticks.
Breadsticks.
Just nothing but breadsticks. That's what it's called. It's called nothing but breadsticks. They did public affairs. They did some public relations. And one of their clients was this restaurant chain called Pat and Oscars, which was really big like in San Diego. And then they were moving up to like Orange County and into Los Angeles. And I think what happened was they gave the agency a giant stack of coupons for free breadsticks. And the agency decided, well, Sarah's just out of college. She's broke. Why don't we give them to her? And I am not kidding. When we had a stack of coupons for these breadsticks, a good half a foot high. I mean, It was this massive. Basically, if we had given those out to the guys in Las Vegas who are handing out the
adult
things and flacking around, we could have papered all of the strip with these things. And I was working as a writer at the newspaper at the time, and a lot of the time,
the Gluten Gazette.
That's what it was called. Yes, a lot of the time,
Breadsticks on my beat.
I wish it was. That sounds good. And I would get into work usually about 2:30 or 3 because I was doing sports, and it's just, a lot of times you have to work a few shifts every night. Kind of taking calls for wherever the high school sports are of the day, wherever the scores are, or the fish report. I had to do the fish report a lot, and you've got a desk full of like 9 or 10 sports writers who are getting paid shit.
Yeah.
If you show up with 3 or 4 dozen breadsticks, you are the big damned hero of the day. And these things, there was no expiration date, and there was no like limit 1 per customer, or you have to order something else.
Oh.
And so I would stroll in with like 5 or 6 of these coupons and just go to the front desk and say, "Hi, I'd like 6 dozen breadsticks, please."
Yeah.
And they would have to go and get 6 dozen breadsticks for me.
Wow.
And then just give them to me for free.
Uh-huh.
And they were really good breadsticks, but at some point I was probably eating breadsticks every day.
Your kidney gives out or something. There's something.
I don't know what processes breadsticks in your body. I don't know if that's what your pancreas is for, or possibly the appendix. Something was going to give if I didn't. It was going to be bad news.
Was it something?
Well, let's see. Panera bread,
Pancreas.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same root.
I believe it's the Olive Garden organ.
Bread basket. Do you dip that breadstick in a marinara or something, or is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Bread and butter.
The marinara, they wouldn't. I'd have to pay for that.
Oh, okay.
So why would I do that? No, it was just the bread and the butter.
Okay.
And they may not even. You know what? I don't actually know if they were any good. I think they were, but
yeah.
They for all I know is they were just getting them from the Little Caesars. When I got my coupon, they may have said, "Yeah, this guy with his 6 dozen," and just like gone next door to the Little Caesars and bought some for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when they're free, they're delicious. And I probably gained 10 pounds off of that until. I mean, we eventually got to the point where it was like, we have to get rid of these coupons, and we can't have these around the house. It's bad news. I think I just wound up giving like each person I knew like a couple dozen coupons. And I left a bunch at the office. It was just like we had to just get them the hell away from me.
Did the Pat and Oscars marketing team of geniuses that came up with the breadstick coupon strategy?
They went out of business. They got bought out by, I want to say, I don't know. They got bought out by another company. And then they shuttered the company. Now there's like one that's open in Temecula.
You know, when you said breadsticks, it made me think of Olive Garden, where I go whenever my in-laws are in town, and I enjoy it. I love me some Olive Garden, and I love Olive Garden breadsticks until you see the busboy walk by with a big trash bag full of Olive Garden breadsticks to reload the breadstick bin, and then I think. It's just this. They just come in giant trash bags from the Olive Garden headquarters. They heat them up, put butter on them. An idiot like me eats them.
And then you order some more.
Every somewhere I shut
Yeah,
up one.
I do this at Red Robin too because they got the bottomless fries. And
Okay, let's talk about Red Robin for a second.
Oh, is this cutting into your choice?
No. So they got the bottomless fries, and I like that they play this game with you, where it's a game.
I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing.
They bring your burger out and they bring your fries, and then you're finished with your fries, and you're like, "I'll have some more bottomless fries, please."
Yeah.
Then they don't bring you enough.
Oh, they bring like 10 fries.
That second round of fries is so
It's a pittance.
insignificant. What are they doing? What is that? What are they doing? You know, there's a plan. You know, there's a plan that comes down from Red Robin's headquarters.
HQ,
that says, "Listen, you guys have been giving too many out on the second go around. So what you're gonna do is just give them enough that they're gonna make them mad, and then
They won't ask for any more.
they're gonna ask. They are gonna ask for a third go around.
Yeah.
And then it'll make them feel bad, and they will increase your tips.
Smart.
Ooh,
I've thought about this a lot. So
See, I think
bring them a little bit, and then for the third go around, they'll feel guilty. They'll add for more, and then by the time they're settling up the bill, they'll be like, "Well, they didn't go back that third time and get me that thing of fries. So I guess I got to give them an extra 70 cents."
pro tip: if you know you're going to be, or if you order something that has fries and other people are at your table, as soon as you order, sit down and say, "So I got the Clucks and fries, and you got the Angus whiskey Slurpee burger, or whatever." So, by the way, could you just, when you bring the drinks, could you just bring a few rounds of French fries out just so we can get working on that? Do that, because then they will immediately come out with like 4 or 5 things of fries, and then you got the fries that come with it. And now you're already in good shape with the fries.
Okay.
And now you've established a pattern that I'm going to be eating a fuck ton of fries. So just let's keep this moving, pal.
That's pro tip. Okay, Michael.
I'll stay in the realm of food. Chewy Chips Ahoy cookies.
Oh God, yes.
I can put down a sleeve of Chewy Chips Ahoy like nobody's business.
Oh, okay. Adult or kid when you find the delights of Chewy Chips Ahoy?
Well, it starts as a kid, and then as you grow into an adult and you realize you can eat as many as you want with no repercussions other than how it affects your body. 20 minutes later,
this just made me unfuckable. That's all. Whatever.
I think what separates Chewy Chips Ahoy from regular Chips Ahoy is the lack of crunch.
Yes.
The chewiness is what makes them different, is what you're suggesting.
What I'm suggesting is the way that they can almost dissolve in your mouth.
Yeah.
And that you can so lazily eat 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
You can go through a whole row of them before you realize that, oh, I shouldn't have eaten 12 cookies just now.
Yeah.
And then you're just done for. Yeah. You're like, well, I guess I should do another row.
Chewy regular Chips Ahoy are good if you like chocolate chips and you hate the roof of your mouth, because
they're great for dunking in milk.
They're good for you got to put it in a solvent.
Whoa, hold on a second. So you dunk cookies in milk, but not cereal.
Oh,
wait a second.
It's a totally different thing.
Because I don't do milk with the cookies either. I'm true to my roots on
Our
this.
Our sharp-eared listener will realize that on Mount Rushmore podcast we have 2 unicorns here. Those are the 2 guys who don't consume cereal in milk.
Because I was thinking about the when you mentioned the tearing the crap out of the roof of your mouth, the Captain Crunch, and I believe I believe that was your. In fact, you were amazed that someone could eat Captain Crunch without milk.
Sure. Yeah. If you're binge watching this, go back to episode 2 and listen to kids' children's cereals.
Okay, when I was a lung child,
a lungfish,
and an iron lung, when I was a lungfish, a neighbor kid had Chewy Chips Ahoy, and he was, in my mind, Little Lord Fauntleroy, like Richie Rich, this kid who slept on a pile of diamonds. And
I want to grow up in Jeff's neighborhood, by the way. What an amazing place. Was this the same kid who would show up with a 2-liter of Coke?
If I wanted cookies, I had to go donate plasma or something. This kid had just the riches of Caesar were bestowed upon him, and among them were the Chewy Chips Ahoy.
It's not all like Keebler soft batch.
Yeah,
they can fuck off. I know they're not sponsoring us, and neither is Chips Ahoy, but they just got them beat by so far. I think that the only trouble with the Chewy Chips Ahoy lately is that definitely the recipe's changed over the years. They've done something. They do something to all of your favorite foods over the years.
Eventually, yeah.
Like monosodium glutamate, anybody, right?
Supposed to be trisodium glutamate.
Come on.
Idiots.
And also, I'm pretty sure they've reduced the size of the cookie.
Oh.
I think it's like shrunk over the years.
Yeah.
And that just adds to the ease of which you can put down an entire thing.
That's true. You know that guy got a promotion probably. Hey, this is Bill. He shrank the cookie. Oh, that's Bill.
Is that the same guy responsible for the Red Robin Fry memo going down?
He's one smart individual.
Well, okay. So when you say binge, if I binge on a Thin Mints Girl Scout cookies, it means I ate the whole sleeve by myself in one sitting. Is that what you're talking about? With Chewy Chips? Okay.
I think that they're, like podcasts. I think this is a theme that kind of carries throughout. Is like you kind of lose yourself in the moment. You don't realize how how much. It's like you don't realize how many you've eaten until you're looking at an empty, box of cookies, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Or then you freak, or you realize it 2/3 of the way through, and then you're like, well, fuck, I'm in a penny in it for a pound.
Well,
I do this. This is not one of my choices, but I do this with goldfish crackers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And this will happen. I'll buy the bag of it, and next thing I have like as I'm working, like especially at home, I'll just sort of start kind of idly like noshing on them.
Yeah.
Then I'll look down. I was like, wait a second. In the last 2 hours, I've eaten 2/3 of a bag, 3/4 of a bag of this.
It's not the right serving size.
Well, I'm not going to put like a quarter of the bag back. Fuck it, I'm eating the whole thing. And I think that's a property of binge whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's the fourth Newtonian law of physics. It's like idiot momentum. Once your inertia of stupidity is going, and there's no equal and opposite reaction. Well, an aspect of cookies is scale. If I look at a Starbucks cookie or something like that, it's 17 times bigger than a Chewy Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
But if you've eaten that Starbucks, I think, well, that's a cookie. So I always think of those Chips Ahoy like I can eat 20 of these to make up the size of that thing.
I think the what kind of screws you up, especially in your mind after the fact, is like when you look at the back of the bag and you see the suggested serving size.
Oh, don't do
3.
that.
You guys have no idea what you're talking about.
Stupid fucking elves.
Yeah, do you think
that's why you're small?
Do you think just Joe, the same guy who shrunk them, is sitting there writing the suggested serving size? Like, let's see these fuckers trying to eat 3. Boo, nailed them. Yeah.
Okay, Richard, your second is what?
All right, so my second one is the tried but true alcohol.
Oh. Okay.
I had booze on here under unused because when I'm making my list. Mm-hmm. I think booze is the number one participant on Mount Rushmore across all brands.
We could pretty much do for any of them.
Somewhere booze is up there and he's like, fuck you guys, I'm not getting off this mountain. I'm up here forever.
I wish you were saying favorite month, booze.
Guys.
Favorite holiday, booze.
You can't get me off. All right, so I did not drink all through high school. The first time I drank, essentially, was in college. And
I didn't drink till I was 21.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before.
I was a good kid.
Yeah, so was I.
You mean milk and cereal or just alcohol?
Well, I mean, I would put whiskey in my cereal as a kid, but that doesn't count.
I can't get a beat on you.
That doesn't count. So it was like, I was in the dorms. I was 17. It was right before my first like midterm stretch. And so we had like there's no classes for a couple of days, test week, whatever they call it.
How young in your year of 17 was it? Early?
He was just 17, and you know what I mean.
Let me think here.
Were you almost 18?
It's about halfway through.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Like 17 and a half. And so my dorm mate and a couple other people decided, we should throw a little thing going on in our room just because everybody's, midterms starting. We should just kind of unwind.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. No problem. And so me not knowing anything about booze, I was like, great, you guys are here. Here's $10. Go get whatever you think we need. And they came back with nothing but bottles of Popov's vodka
Oh,
and
wow.
orange juice.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't know, they must have bought $50 worth of stuff.
We're going to have some brunch, motherfucker.
Mimosa, bitch. And so the plan, I mean, basically it was just, we're all going to get, everyone's going to get shitty on screwdrivers.
Yeah.
I had never had a mixed drink before. Maybe by that point I'd had like a couple of beers.
Oh, okay.
And so, hey, gets passed around. I got my big solo cup. And okay, mix yourself one. And I'm like, okay, I got vodka. I've got the orange juice. Okay. And I didn't want to be the guy who's like, hey, I don't know how to do this. And so I sat there and I started just putting the vodka in. Doop, 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 doop,
Oh, shit.
about 2/3 of the way up.
Oh, God.
And then, enough vodka,
Splash.
enough orange juice to make it look orange. And I tasted it and it tasted awful.
Yeah.
But again, I've never had hard alcohol before.
Yeah.
So I just assume it's me. I've never had hard alcohol before. Of course it's going to taste awful.
Yeah.
I just got to get through this.
Yeah.
3 of these and about 20 minutes later.
Oh, shit.
Things get real hazy after
Wow.
that. What I was told is I kept passing out. The pattern was I would pass out, wake up, decide I want to party, rage for about another 20 minutes, go to the bathroom to throw up, pass out in the bathroom, get carried back to my room, repeat said process throughout most of the night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all I remember is I woke up in my bed the next morning, puke on the wall, like to the side of me.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff is written on my arms and like back and chest, like in marker, because people thought that would be a fun thing to do at one point. My roommate and his girlfriend are looking at me like they've just seen the dead come to life.
Yeah.
And it was just literally like the next 2 days of like trying to piece together, what exactly did I do? Are there people I need to apologize to?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I didn't do anything. As far as I know, that was like too awful. But yeah, I had a Spanish midterm that next day I had to go to. No hablo español after that.
If it had only been tequila.
Oh, and unto this day, I cannot drink vodka.
Oh, really?
I'm I'm completely off of it. And of course, it couldn't have even been like a decent vodka. It was like the worst rot gut, like unstrained. I don't know anything about vodka, but it must have just been like, if you would have told me that I was drinking like nail polish with a little bit of orange juice up, I wouldn't doubt you at that point. And that was the only time I've ever like got that drunk.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've got drunk, but I've never got like pass out
Blackout,
drunk or like puking drunk or anything like that. I was like, okay, I gotta learn if I'm gonna do this thing called alcoholism, I gotta learn my limits.
Yeah.
I've only ever had that one drunk ever at 21. That's it.
Can
you imagine being that person? That's the only one. That one glass of Boone's Farm was good enough for me.
I didn't like it, and I just said, not for me.
We want you to binge on the Mount Rushmore podcast. Go download and listen to all the past episodes on your reader of choice. It could be iTunes, it could be Stitcher, maybe there's something else out there. And please go back in time with us. That was kind of Dave Matthews does Kevin Nealon from... Back in time.
But don't do it. Don't listen until you throw up.
Yeah.
If you decide you need to throw up because you've listened to too much of our podcast, which could happen.
Yeah.
Take a break. Go eat some breadsticks.
Yeah. Don't OR over Rushmore because you'll go to the operating room. The ER. No, if you OR, you
might
go
OD.
to the ER.
Might OD.
You OD. Yeah. Okay. Right. And then
you know me.
Join the Facebook site. No. Join us in the conversation on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And okay. So we are back, and this is the Mount Rushmore of things you binged on, and this was my choice, but Richard and Michael are being really nice to me by coming up with some really good choices. Michael, what's your third?
My third choice might be an obvious one, and that's okay. Netflix TV shows.
Netflix, okay.
There is a thing that happens on their original programming where a new season comes out or a new series comes out, and it's treated like a movie.
Yeah.
And you're almost required to, if you want to kind of maintain like the cultural
Relevance.
media dialogue,
Yeah.
to like spend that Friday night watching every episode of Stranger Things, because, going back to podcasts, by the time the Monday morning pop culture podcasts that you listen to that everyone's talking about or water cooler stuff happens, you'll have to have been caught up. And so you have to sit there and you have to have watched 13 hours of television somehow.
Yeah.
Going back to our spoiler
Yeah.
episode, you don't want to be the guy who gets spoiled.
But you
Are you talking relevance versus preserving the experience? Because if somebody reveals the end to you prematurely, it could ruin the experience. But you're talking about
I think
being
it's both, right?
having a valid opinion when you're
or
talking
just
about media. Yeah.
you just somehow, it's like, if you miss the Super Bowl, it's on you.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched the new season of Stranger Things that came out last week, it's like, when do I have time to watch 13 hours? I don't know. I think there's a weird like obsession with that we all have anyways, like wanting to be caught up, or, it's what movie companies are so based on, is the idea of seeing Star Wars opening weekend because you don't want it to be spoiled or whatever, or you're just caught up in the excitement of it.
Yeah.
But then Netflix has this other thing that they do, is that they kind of reconnect with a familiar old friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Emily was pregnant, we spent a good 4 months watching every episode of Cheers.
Oh, cool.
We just put it on from the beginning and just kind of let one roll over to the next, and you realize that within an hour you can have watched 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then you start doing the math and you're like, okay, so if we watch 2 hours of Cheers, we can get close to 6 episodes in. That's 6, 12, 18. That means that every 3 days, 3.5 days, we can watch a season.
Yeah.
11 seasons of Cheers. Okay, we can be done by the time this baby comes out.
Yeah.
So let's just power through it. And so you're both obsessed. And then, when it's a great show as well, you're kind of enjoying it. And you're just like, okay, dinner time.
Yeah.
Let's have our dinner. Let's put on Cheers. Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
But then what happens if the show starts to take a downward turn?
Oh, that's tough.
Like Orange is the New Black, for example, a show that I really liked the first season, and second season wasn't so hot, and I gave up on it before Sarah did.
Oh.
And I will say this: I do not binge watch TV shows.
It's tough to do.
I just
with
don't.
Kids.
Well, not even that. Sarah will do this. Like we were watching. You said Stranger Things. I want to watch every night. We would sit down and I would watch one episode. And I would get done with that episode and I'd say, okay, that's great. All right, we'll catch up to the next one tomorrow. And Sarah would be like, no, you don't want to watch another episode? No. I personally enjoy that idea of, here's the episode. Okay, now you're done with it.
You're digesting
Let's
it.
digest it. I want to talk, I want to talk to you about it. What do you think's going on here? And hey, wasn't this cool? Sleep on it for the night, and then I can come back tomorrow and get another installment of it and kind of I don't want to read the whole book at one sitting. I want to kind of go through chapters and kind of think about it.
Do you think she feels bullied by the mechanism within Netflix that queues up the next
Oh yeah, kind of
counting down?
Kind of makes you feel, I don't want to. Oh, it's on. Now it's on. I can't turn it off.
I don't want to disappoint the robot.
We got most of the way through Downton Abbey, and then we were just like, I don't care about these. We got to the point where we're just like, just all of you die. That's fine. It doesn't matter. None of you matter
When
to
is
me.
the blitz coming?
Your lives are just like obnoxious, and who cares?
But did you finish it?
No.
Okay.
We stopped.
So you're able to like pull out of the spiral.
Somehow we were just like, let's just. Do you want to watch it? Where we're just like, no. Okay.
I don't.
It's a strange feeling though to have like.
I don't care if Sicily gets the linens done.
There was a what's it called podcast? One of the first ones, Freakonomics, that I remember. That was that's how I remember really getting into it, which was like how you know when you're done.
Yeah.
Or whether it's Jeff and I before the podcast, we were talking about like stand-up comedy. It's like, at what point is there like the sunk cost where you have to just keep going?
Yeah.
And at what point is there a sunk cost where you need to just stop because you're not making it to the next level? I think they talked a lot about like a minor league ball player. And there's a very successful, it was very successful, like 37 or 38-year-old minor league ball player that's been in the league for like 15 years. He's never making it to the next level, but he makes a okay enough. I mean, he plays baseball for a living and he, whatever. But like, I think that sometimes that gets in your head too, when you're like watching a show that you're just like, listen, the series is 72 episodes long and we're 66 into it. We have 6 to go, but you don't really want to. You're like, I'm done. I hate all of them. Is episode 72 like a bomb gonna blow them up?
Yeah.
Let's just watch that one.
I hope. I hope it does.
That's something I've never done. I've never skipped to like the last episode. I've just stopped watching.
You should watch the first episode and then the last episode. And let that determine whether or not you think the 70 episodes in between
guys are missing an eyeball.
Well, in terms of Cheers, that guy Coach.
Yeah.
He's not going to last very long. Ooh, shit.
Oh, boy.
R.I.P. Ernie Pantuso.
Oh. Richard, what's your third?
All right, so mine actually plays very closely into that. Because although I do not binge...
Is it breadsticks again?
So there's a Netflix show about breadsticks.
Breadflix.
So although I do not binge watch Netflix or TV shows in general, I will get stuck in YouTube rabbit holes.
Oh, wow.
For hours.
Really? Wow.
And
we remember your marbles.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, remember the marble situation? When I started watching
marble racing.
And now I've got like a whole subscription filled up with like marble races that I can just plow through an hour of. Very specifically, I will bring this up because this happened recently. I stumbled on a person who has basically the main YouTube archivist for old late night with David Letterman clips and episodes also, but mainly just me being a huge David Letterman fan as a kid. I think we've discussed this before.
So that's what David Letterman's doing in his spare time now.
Just archiving David Letterman clips and eating breadsticks. So I think I just was like, I wonder if anyone has the elevator races on there from like the one time they did elevator races. And I stumbled upon that. And then I looked at this guy's, he had it linked to a playlist. And that playlist always fucking gets you. Oh. Because then you start going through that playlist and this guy's got a whole playlist of like different races that they did over the years. And then different times that stuff got dropped from the top of the building or crushed by a steamroller or whatever it is. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, here's 2 hours of Larry Bud Melman.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm in. And so that's what I like the last couple of weeks. I've just been watching like old Letterman clips. Not even the CBS stuff, like the NBC stuff.
So
like
you binging on Letterman, or is there something about other YouTube fetishes that you kind of dig into?
Well, I think YouTube kind of facilitates that.
Yeah.
Because there is that nature of the YouTube, not the YouTube rabbit hole, but the YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where you just get sucked in, like it's the related clips. Like if you didn't see the related clips, I would probably just watch the elevator race and said, that was really funny. I remember that. That was good.
Yeah.
And then just gone on about my life. But the fact that I could see that and then see like also related Larry Bud Melman at the Port Authority and then watch that. Then that reminds me of something else or I see something else.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're like an hour and a half into just watching 20-year-old, TV show clips. 30-year-old, I guess.
That's really interesting. I guess that sometimes at the end of the podcast is when I try to play psychoanalyst and do some kind of thematic through line for each of you guys. It seems like the reasons we do things seem to be sometimes inclusion and sometimes comfort. It seems like there's nobody watching you watch Letterman. You're doing it out of kind of nostalgia and
so
interest.
Says you.
Yeah,
I pay someone
just
to watch me watch Letterman.
But in terms of like, oh my God, Chewy Chips Ahoy makes me feel like a kid again. I feel very comfortable. I feel very inclusive when I when I know that I've seen the Netflix show that everybody else has seen. So that's fascinating. I think that's very interesting.
I think what happens with me with like YouTube is I will be looking for a very specific clip, and then I won't find it, and then it gives me like a suggested one, and I'm like, God No.
Yeah.
I get so angry. You're getting me further away from this Simpsons clip that I know is out there, and I know this thing that I want to see because I know it in my brain, but I need to see it on YouTube, and then it's just like, this is as far away as possible. I hate you, YouTube.
Do you think it has some kind of algorithm that knows that in the related, it will show you something that's clearly related to what you just saw, and then do you think it knows weirdos who clicked on this also clicked on this?
I don't know. That's interesting. That's like Google search functions when you're looking for like, I don't know, like I'll look up stuff for images for the podcast, and I'll look up Chewy Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
Let's say, what is the rabbit hole of pictures that will show up through Google? It'll be like, how did we get here? This is not.
Yeah.
Why is there a cowboy?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And I think whatever, like you said, whatever algorithm is there, it's like someone else was looking for Chewy Chips Ahoy's and cowboys at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Google image search, eventually they all lead to photos of celebrities' feet.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
That's what I found.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what you're searching for, it'll eventually be Barbara Streisand feet, and then pictures of her feet. It's like, what happened here?
The circumstance surrounding my recent search for a transparent raincoat to accomplish a Patrick Bateman American Psycho Halloween costume.
All right.
Made me very
Sure,
disturbed
we're
to see
pretending that's what it's for.
to see that everywhere there's a plastic raincoat is also an axe. People also purchase an axe and then suspenders
And lie.
and
What?
lie. Oh, scary, scary, scary. Okay, Michael, wrap it up.
My last one, simply Coca-Cola.
Oh,
And it's why I can't drink Coca-Cola anymore.
oh,
I like it too much. And at some point, maybe in 2010 or 11, I just had to just stop buying Coca-Cola. I can't buy a can of it. I can't buy a 2-liter bottle of it. Like if I have it at a party, like I will have it if it's mixed in with like Jack and Coke. I've allotted myself because I know I can't drink too many Jack and Cokes.
yeah.
Or else I end up like Richard.
My binge drinking story. Yeah.
That you meant in general.
That's also not something you want.
There is a quote from an episode of The West Wing where Leo McGarry says, "I'm an alcoholic. I don't have one drink. I don't understand people who only have one drink. I don't understand people who leave a half a glass of wine on the table. I don't understand people who say they've had enough." And that's how at some point I felt with like Coke, where I didn't want a can of Coke. I wanted a second one.
Yeah.
Right after I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to society where, they would stop serving just, or where you could get like a 12-ounce can of Coke and then, oh, look, it's in a 20-ounce bottle. You can get that. Well, I'll just get the 20-ounce bottle one. And then you're at a movie theater and a medium is 32 ounces and that's 3 Cokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's this constantly kind of one-upping of what's available and you get used to that availability. So you're, I'm guessing it's like drugs. Like you're one hit isn't doing it anymore. It's you're constantly going up the one level.
Well, I've deluded myself that Diet Coke is okay, and I'll just drink that ad infinitum. But you don't drink Diet Coke; you drink the real shit, right?
Yes.
So
not anymore.
Okay.
Used to.
Like I can remember like the best Coca-Cola I've ever had, and it was like in college, and I got one out of like a vending machine or for whatever reason. Like I was playing catch with my friend Travis. We were throwing like just a baseball around.
Having a catch.
We're having a catch, and like I was running late for class, and I ran in and stopped to get a Coke, and like I just put this thing down, and like I can still remember it, and like that's a scary thing when you're just like, oh my god, how addicted to this thing was I that like I remembered this incredible can of soda, and who cares? But like it's one of those things where I just like, oh, I just can't anymore, and like it's weird.
What's your relationship with Coke? Is it something that's more than a product? It's a part of your.
Do you know what's weird? Okay, what's weird is I could drink a Pepsi, and that's fine.
Oh,
like if you had a Pepsi right now, you're like a Pepsi. I'm like, sure, that's fine. I'll drink. I'm not addicted to Pepsi. Yeah. But like if I had a Coke, I would be like, I would turn down a Coke if you offered it to me. Like I know this.
You're not hooked.
I know my friend too well.
Yeah. Do you taste the difference between a Coke? Like I remember drinking Coke at the ballpark, Coke at McDonald's, Coke in a can.
A Coke at McDonald's the best.
3 different Cokes. Yeah, Coke at
It's
McDonald's.
the best.
I've been told that goes through
Guys,
some other
are we
circulation.
going to McDonald's after this?
Yeah, let's
Can.
go.
I mean, we
You
just
and I, yeah.
like I just a little bit is fine.
With alcohol, I had to create an analogy. If alcohol was a person, would I still be friends with them? And I realized, no, I wouldn't, because they've treated me so poorly.
Well, I can see Coke in a party situation and be fine with it as long as it's like I know that Coke and Jack Daniels are like arm in arm, and like I know that they're together and that's fine, and I can deal with that. But if like one-on-one, me and Coke and
You're
like,
alone.
it's like
it's
they're gonna
it's the
seduce me.
friend you see at a party
Yeah.
every couple of months, and they're kind of loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
They're okay because you're only going to talk to them for like 10, 15 minutes. But then if you ran into them a couple of days later at lunch and like, hey, we should sit down and get lunch together, you'd be like, I was just picking it up to go.
Why is this a 3-hour conversation now? We were just gonna stop in and say hi. We were doing a stop in.
I drank a lot of Dr. Pepper as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 6-pack a day.
Oh, God.
Yet another in the entry of Richard's parents had really bad nutritional guidelines, right up there with eating tar as candy.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And then me with my 4 or 5 bacon sandwiches for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 bacon sandwiches for breakfast, about a 6-pack of Dr. Pepper a day. I can't imagine why I had heart problems growing up. It's shocking.
Well, in the Appalachians, did you have a surgeon there? Because it sounds like that's the diet.
Well, there was one for the entire the entire Central Valley. We had one heart surgeon. So
the final choice from Richard.
my final choice on what I have or do binge on is sleep,
Oh,
because I like to sleep, guys, like a lot. Like I remember I come from a napping family. My mom napped every day.
what is your
It's all the tar poisoning.
Your crest is a lion and a person lying down next to the lion.
It's a very sleepy lion. Yeah. Maybe this had something to do with the fact that like it was like sugar crash, caffeine crash, repeated over and over. I don't know. But yeah, like most, and also it's really fucking hot where I grew up. It was 110 degrees for most of the summer. You just didn't want to leave. You wanted to sleep. Like I would come home from school every day and like crash out for like an hour and then get up and do whatever the hell I was going to do. And I remember, part of it's just body physiology, right? When you're a teenager, you sleep in late and you have all the weird hours and stuff. And I guess at some point you're supposed to get over that. I just never did. Like I enjoy taking naps so much. And I know if I let myself take a nap, I'm not going to take like a 15. I can't like if I know I got anything to do that day, I cannot lay down for like 10 minutes. It's almost like Michael can't have like a Coke. Like I can't take like a 15-minute cat nap and then wake up. I'm going to be out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then the next day I'm going to want to be out for 2 hours. I feel like I'm perpetually like, maybe this is part of having 2 kids now. I just feel like I'm perpetual. At some point, I got so ass backwards with sleep that I'm just never going to catch up. I will die somehow still being in a sleep deficit from what I feel like my body needs, which was a lot to begin with. So, man, if I get a chance to take a nap and it's like Sarah's got the kids somewhere, it's like, yeah, I could go out. I could, run some errands, play some golf, hell, even play a couple of video games. Couch is looking pretty good too. I'm gone.
Yeah. Maybe you have some Pop-Off vodka and just go night.
Or some NyQuil. Mix the vodka and the NyQuil, a little 2-for-1. Gone.
Well, guys, I'm kind of I'm doing my kind of shade tree psychiatrist thing here and scrutinizing your choices. And I think, Michael, yours predominantly came down to relationships. The things that you've binged, you have, or they enable relationships. I think podcast is your relationship with the people who are the hosts of those podcasts and the stories that they're telling. Netflix is definitely, sounds like you talk about it in terms of your relationship with your wife, too, something you enjoy together and the relationship you build up with that show. And definitely Coca-Cola, too. It's like, it's kind
I'll
of
trade it all in for Coca-Cola right now.
Oh my
But it's
God.
like have a Coke with a friend, right? Isn't that what they're always pushing?
That's right.
It's like a friendship thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you and your
yeah.
buddy are going to sit down and you're going to share a Coke.
Yeah, Coke is life. Yeah. And Richard, it all seemed to kind of add up to comfort to me. Like with sleep, obviously some comfort. Those YouTube clips, it seems like they're kind of nostalgia and
Sure.
showing you something that's familiar. And then the breadsticks, I mean, there's no better comfort food. Am I right?
It's
bread and butter.
It might be better than pizza.
Blaspheme.
I might. In fact, I think I'm willing to go on record. If there was a thing of breadsticks and a slice of pizza,
The perimeter of pizza is
I'm
breadstick.
probably going breadsticks, especially if I don't know what pizza that is, where
Uh-huh.
it came from, because it's hard to fuck up breadsticks.
Pizza is breadstick plus other. Like the perimeter of pizza is breadstick, right?
Yeah, I like when these clowns try to deconstruct a pizza into a breadstick, and like, if you're gonna dip it in marinara sauce anyway, you guys.
Yeah, all right. So
Anyway,
the things that I'm just going to go by stories that I like to hear. Richard, I like to hear about you drunk. So the alcohol story.
we can do more of that. Oh boy.
Michael, I found it really sick and twisted, your relationship with the Coca-Cola, and makes me intrigued. And Michael, and for the sake of our listeners, I like your addictive relationship with podcasts. And listeners, you will listen to more podcasts, specifically this podcast. Hypnosis over. You will wake up refreshed. Okay. Oh, yeah, now you're awake. And Richard, I am obsessed with old David Letterman. So I choose that. Your YouTube addiction. I believe that is 4 choices, and I believe that brings this episode of the Mount Rushmore podcast to an end. This has been the Mount Rushmore of things you binged on. Readers, listeners out there, we implore you to go back and download, rate, and binge the past episodes of this podcast. You'll be sorry you did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, maybe you listened to it, but you weren't paying attention. So
That's right.
might as well
Wait, what's
go
going on?
back.
What's going on?
Listen to all of them again.
Yeah.
To pick up all the stuff that all the good stuff
Yeah.
that you missed last time.
You were multitasking. Now just try tasking and give it a listen. Okay, this is the Mount Rushmore podcast. I have been Joe.
I'm Richard.
Hi, Michael.